Hi, my name is Janelle Stevens, and I am a resident of Randolph for the past 16 years. Really started getting involved in my community 7 years ago. I am also a real estate agent, a nonprofit director for South Shore Caribbean Connection, and I'm very much involved in my community. One of the things that I like to do is not just to help people build their dreams, but I also like to just encourage people, especially young people, to understand what it is that they like to do and help them to realize some of those dreams. If I have the opportunity, I will encourage them, show them, maybe a different path that they may want to take. Today, I'm going to be interviewing a young man that I've known for the past 19 years. That's to show you how long I've been doing this, trying to encourage people. This young man, I am so proud that I know him. His name is Frederick Richard. And I'm saying it right now. He is going for gold as a gymnast for the American team. So I'd love to introduce you to Frederick Richard. Hello, everybody. I am so excited. I'm here today to introduce you to a future gold medal. That's right, gold medal Olympian.
That's the plan, yeah. Gold.
That's it, gold medal. I'm speaking it into existence. And I've been speaking it into existence since he was a little boy. Frederick, I'd love for you to introduce yourself to not just Randolph, not just Stoughton, not just the South Shore, okay. But I'm hoping this will go viral because this young man is worth getting to know. Introduce yourself for me, please.
Hey guys, I am Frederick Richard, like you said, future Olympian. Right now I'm a freshman at Michigan, and I've won the Big Ten and NCAA championships, so it's a great statement as a freshman, but I like to think of myself as that kid that just flips, but now is taking it to the next level, aiming for the Olympics. And I am also a multi-gold medalist in international competitions. I travel across the world competing, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I'm just doing my thing with flips.
Wow. So just a little bit about who I am. I am that person who likes to encourage young people and just to make sure, if I see something, bring it out, make recommendations. And I remember Frederick used to scare my husband and I when he came over to the house. I remember one time he was doing some flips on the banister and Carrie was like, what is going on with this young man? Mm-hmm. And I remember saying to your mom, I've known Frederick since he was a baby in his mom's belly, right? Mm-hmm. Even before that, I've been good friends with his mother. And I remember thinking to myself, he needs to go to gymnastics. Mm-hmm. And my daughter was at the time going to this gymnastics right here in Stoughton. And I remember telling her about you needing to go to gymnastics. Tell me, when you first went to gymnastics, did you feel at home? Did you feel like this is where you belong? Tell me about that first experience.
100%. I think I was that type of person who liked a challenge. And I walked in that gym, and I saw all these big kids. They looked huge at the time. I was like 2 to 4, that age range. Yeah. They looked huge at the time. I see them doing these crazy things, flipping upside down. I was like, wow, I got to try this. And I'd go home. I'd go to my mom's bed, and I'd chuck flips to my head. Like, no fear at all, just chucking that.
You were no fear even before you went to the gymnastics.
Somehow I was flipping before I saw the gymnastics. Yes. Almost dying. That's why you got me into gymnastics, so I have to thank you for that. But yeah, so I felt right at home. I felt like this is my thing. And I may not have really known it's my thing, but I just gave it my all for the fun of it. And I think that's what took me all the way up to here.
So I remember Frederick was in gymnastics. My daughter was in gymnastics. His sister was in gymnastics. And after a while, everybody else faded out and Frederick stayed focused. Yeah. Frederick has always been that young man that stayed focused. And I remember your mom telling me when you started doing competitions. Mm-hmm. Right? How old were you when you first started doing those competitions? And before you answer, did you win and how did it feel?
Okay, so when I very first started competitions, see, I think I was about 6 years old actually.
Wow.
And these are the lower level competitions.
Right.
But the funny thing is, I don't know if I was like in the mindset where it's all for fun. I remember doing my routine, and mid-routine, I'd look over at my coach and say, what do I do next? I was all over the place, but I had the energy, and I really just did it for fun. And so at the beginning, I wasn't winning. I was definitely somebody who was very young, so I hadn't matured to the level where I could like make it click and really do the right things to get me to the next level. But so for a while I wasn't winning, but I really just loved the flips. I loved the gymnastics of it. You know, I wasn't even thinking gold medal or win every competition. But at the same time, I was competitive. So when I did lose,
Yeah.
I
know who your father is, yes.
Exactly. Yeah. So when I did lose, there was something burning inside me when I went back to the gym. And so I remember there was always somebody better than me. Always. And I mean, felt like miles better than me. And year by year, I just inch up the ladder. And by the time I was probably about 12 years old, that's when people realized, okay, he's actually really good. This is when I started actually winning competitions. And also the funny thing is, I used to compete young, like the kids that I competed against were always a year or two older than me at first.
He's moving ahead with my speech.
Oh, okay.
It's all right, though. Go ahead. You got this. You got this. Because I was going to talk to you about that. I was going to say to you, I remember, weren't you always the youngest in your group?
Exactly. I was always the youngest. And so I didn't feel like I was that great because I was comparing myself to people much better than me. And it always pushed me to get a lot better. But then I realized I am pretty good because the kids my age were not able to keep up. And so I think just always being around people a little better than me is what really pushed me to get to the next level.
Well, and being, again, you were a third child as well, and always trying to keep up with, that they do say that. They do say the younger children always try to keep up with their siblings. So you being in that group, because you were so good, that's what it was. They recognized your abilities. Because I remember talking to your mom and her saying, every time you got to a certain level, you were always the youngest in that level.
Exactly, I was.
And so without even realizing it, they were helping you by putting you in that group.
Yep.
Because it's that phenomenon. Whenever you're with somebody that's older, you always want to climb and be like them. So I'm glad so in a way, that was a good thing that they did for you.
100%, yeah. I think it's important to, I mean, you can have a choice to be like what do they say, the saying, like the big fish in a little pond or small fish in a big
pond. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You were the little fish.
I was,
you learned how to swim well.
Exactly.
So basically what you're saying is these people were mentors to you. And I'm kind of moving out a little bit ahead, but I understand that you also have the idea that you want to be a mentor and do some things going back, because if you had these people as mentors.
Yeah, I did.
So now you have an opportunity to give back and be a mentor yourself. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I walk in the gym every day now, and I can literally see like the glowing little kid's eyes, like, oh, that's Frederick. That's Frederick Richard, And so I now do feel like I have the power to actually be that mentor for little kids and influence them. And so I always try to give corrections. I try to open up their eyes because there's a lot that the kids younger than me don't know yet. So I try to bring that to them, and I try to act as a role model. Like, this is where I am, and you can do the same because I've been in your shoes before. You know what I mean?
Right. So tell me a little bit about some of the actual things that you're planning on doing to give back to these young kids.
Oh.
Some of the programs that you have in mind that you want to do to help give back to these kids.
So, I mean, there's a lot of things in the works.
Yeah. Tell me just what you can. You know what I mean?
I'll say what I do on the day-to-day first before I go into, the other plans.
Right.
First thing I do is I realize creating content gives a lot of value to kids in this generation where everybody's on their phone. How can I entertain them but also give them the value that they need to still benefit in their sport? And so I've taken a liking to creating content a lot on TikTok, Instagram. It's Frederick Flips if you're interested in checking it out.
That's right.
But yeah, I think that's become my platform to not only entertain but also motivate and educate the younger kids. Because I mean, I remember growing up, I mean, there was these big names, but I wasn't very connected to them. I'd see them compete, but on the day-to-day, I didn't get tips for them. I didn't get to see what they're doing, how they're doing things. And I think in this day and age with social media, I've been doing that daily, and I see so many messages from kids asking me for help, thanking me for this and that, and I think it's working. So
okay. Yeah. So you're saying, so you feel like you have an opportunity to be able to speak to them directly because through social media, the questions are coming through and you can answer directly.
Yeah.
Was there anyone in particular that, even though you didn't have an opportunity to connect with them, was there anyone in particular that was a role model for you? Well, a role model, I know, not just in life, but I'm talking about as far as being a gymnast.
Yeah, as far as being a gymnast, role model, I'd say, is iffy. I think there was guys I saw and said, "Wow, I want to be at their level." I don't think I really fell in love with anybody to study the whole way. I think what made me so good kind of was I was like, I'm a dreamer. Every second of every day I imagine in my head the future me 5 years from now. What crazy stuff is he doing? And the future me was doing skills not even invented before, you know?
Wow.
Yeah. And so, yeah.
So how old were you when you started like having these dreams of things that you wanted to do?
I think since I entered the sport, or maybe when I was a little probably, I'll say starting at like 8 when I could see farther, you know what I mean? And like I said, things that don't even exist anymore. And if 8-year-old me saw me now as successful as I've been in the sport, they'd be like, why didn't you reach the level I imagined? Of course, the younger me doesn't understand how hard it is to do.
Well, you're still young enough that you can make some of those 8-year-old dreams come through. Everything takes time, right?
Yeah, and I'm still dreaming now. I like to think that my biggest competition is me 6 months from now. And I think that's the biggest motivator because I can see what I could be in 6 months. You know, if you see somebody else being crazy amazing, you really have no connection to like, how could I become them in a short period of time? But when I'm imagining myself in 6 months, I know I could become that guy. And that's what pushes me every single day to get much better. You know?
Instead of looking 5 years ahead, you're like, you're making it into small increments and it's doable.
Exactly.
All right. So 8-year-old you is telling you that you can do all of these things, right? You know what I think 8-year-old do? You ever hear the saying, reach for the stars, and if you make it to the moon,
yeah, you go to the moon.
Then you're 6. Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, the 8-year-old you, what it was doing was propelling you for greatness. And understanding that you listened to that 8-year-old you, it allowed you to just reach as high as you could.
Exactly, yeah.
And you still have more to go because you're still young enough.
100%,
right?
yeah. I still have at least 10 years in the sport.
Okay.
So if I think about that, I mean, I've probably been in the sport for about 15 years now. So, I mean, almost going to double it. So I'm still dreaming big because, I mean, there's so much more to go, yeah.
So I don't know if we basically spoke about exactly what Frederick did, but Frederick is a gymnast. And he is going to be, like I said, a gold medal gymnast. What was the name of the gym that you went to again when you started?
Yes, I started in Somersault Center.
Somersault, yes. So he started at Somersault Center, and I know while you were there were some people there that you may want to talk about how they influenced you and how they were a positive part of what you were doing and making sure that you got down this path. Do you want to talk about them a little bit?
100%. I mean,
yes.
I think my successes isn't just me at all. I mean, there's been a team around me and people leading me this whole time. And so starting in the gym, I guess I give the biggest props to my coach, Tom Fontecchio. And he's definitely the biggest mentor in my life. He taught me, he saw me in the future before I saw me in the future.
Yes.
And he put me on the right path to becoming that. And this gym that I grew up in, it wasn't the best gym in the country. It didn't have basically any of the real tools needed to build a future Olympian. But Tom, he saw where I could be, and he did everything he could to get me to that level. We would take trips to other gyms every weekend, and he'd drive me there just because he believed in me. And that's just some of the sacrifices he made to get me to the next level. I mean, he was so passionate about the sport, and he put that into me, and now I'm passionate about the sport, like beyond, I think, anybody else.
Well, I what I will say is I remember Tom. Tom was that person where when my daughter started to pull back, and he would call me and he'd say, "Hey, if she's really interested and it's a money thing, I got you." You know what I mean? So yes, Tom was that person. Not to say he was just giving things away, but he was all about encouraging kids, and especially with you, where he saw that he's into encouraging everybody, but then he saw something especially special in you. And I remember there were times where your parents couldn't be there, because of work or whatever the case may be to get you there. But he was making sure that you were there. So you had not just the gym, but you had a village because you had your grandmother, you had your sister, you had all these people around you.
Exactly.
Let me ask you this: How do you think you would have felt if they said, "Sorry, we can't make it happen. Sorry, you can't go to gymnastic anymore"? How do you think? Frederick at that point would have reacted?
Oh, I was crazy. So I would have got there on my own two legs.
I knew that you were going to say that.
That's number one. And for some reason, I couldn't do that. You'd find me working out either in the house or outside or doing something. And I think at that point, at a young age, it wasn't even because I wanted to win, which I did like pushing to win. I just really loved the sport. I just liked every day. I felt like I needed to. And I still feel like that now. I know I can't miss a day of practice. I just need to.
Well, I asked that question because I do remember that you had that drive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you scared, like I said in the beginning, you scared us. You just wanted to flip. You just wanted to do all of those things. And so it's interesting that you found a home, not only just a home, you found someone in that home who knew and saw and was willing to work with you.
Exactly.
Tell me about, you know, what the experience was like for your parents. Because I know there's a lot of talented young people that are out there.
Yeah.
But it's hard for them to continue because this sport is a very expensive sport,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, of course, you can't tell me exactly how they felt, but tell me about your experience with your parents and how you felt them giving you this opportunity.
Yeah. I knew that it wasn't cheap to do gymnastics, and I knew definitely was a sacrifice for my parents, not only just to pay the monthly bills for me to go to the gym, but I had to get to the gym, like you said, which meant I needed to ride to the gym at 5 o'clock every day, and I ride back from the gym at 8:30 or 9 o'clock every day, which meant someone had to get there to me. And on top of that, if I did good, I get to a bigger competition. If I get to a bigger competition, it costs more money.
Right.
Then I do good at that competition, I get to the next competition, bigger one. Then it costs even more money. So it's like, it's just even more sacrifices that kept coming in. So I know it definitely wasn't easy for them, and I think they had to make the sacrifices to get me to that level. They had to believe in me, and
Yes.
so thankful that they did. And now I see like a champion's not built by themselves at all.
No,
Like,
you needed that.
I needed it, and I had no control over it. It was all in their hands to do this and create this, and they did for me. So I'm thankful.
Well, I happen to, like I said, your mom is a very dear friend of mine, and the pride in which she would speak. Oh, and your father, you know, your father's a little bossy. You know, that's my son. You know, he loves to, you know, the pride that they showed when they talked about you, and everything like that. They're proud of all their children, but it was just, you know, Frederick. You know, Frederick is doing his thing, and Frederick is, and I know they followed you. Tell me. Around the world, so many different places. Tell me how many countries you've been to with these competitions.
I've probably been to, I'd say 4 or 5 countries. I'll list them off to start. And this is just in the last 2 years. Or maybe, so because COVID hit and no traveling, that would have added 3 or 4 other countries to the list. But I've been to Brazil, Mexico, Germany twice. I've been somewhere else in Europe. I don't know.
That's okay. That's okay.
Lost.
And I know you've been to a lot of states within the United States.
I've probably been to 30 of the states.
Okay. And how much? So you've been in how many competitions would you say, and how many of them did you win? A percentage. You could just average. You don't have to give me exact.
Okay, if I was doing my whole life, I would say it's breaking 100 competitions.
Ooh,
It's breaking 100 competitions.
Yes.
And I would say I've won, in my whole entire life, I would guess like 60 of them, right? But if I start at, say, 12 years old.
When you really got, you really got
picked it
good.
up.
Yes. And it wasn't just doing it just for the fun of it, but the competition piece of it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Then it goes to probably 60 to 70 competitions with 50 plus one.
Didn't I say goal?
Exactly. And
this young man, this is good, yes.
And now in the recent years, I mean, it's every competition. So
yes, you're gonna get there. You're gonna get there, and I just feel and I think, you know, I think when you started, were you guys living in Stoughton already, or were you still in Boston? Okay.
Yeah, we were living in Stoughton. Yeah.
Because I remember just the idea of Stoughton is a big town. And the fact that you were so, like, we were referred to the gym and it was just right up the street.
Yeah.
That's close. I mean, it just
crazy.
made it easy
Yeah.
for you to be able to get there. Even if somebody had to just pick you up and drop you off really quickly, it made it that much easier for you. So
it's like destiny.
yes, exactly. That's the word I was looking for.
I ended up living 10-minute walk from the gym, 1 minute, 2-minute drive from the gym.
Yes.
I happen to have the perfect coach to take me to like you can start in a gym and it's luck at the beginning because you just throw your kid to whatever gym you want, and that gym has to have the coach that has the foresight, has the connections, has everything it takes to build a champion. I think that's the hard thing about sports, like everything has to align perfectly. And so I ended up in the gym with a coach then that had the passion to make himself better because he learned as he went, and make me better. And paved that direction for me. And in the first gym closest to me, you know what I mean?
That was good.
So that's
good.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So you're in school. You're in Michigan State right now.
University of Michigan, yeah.
What are you studying?
I'm studying business.
Okay.
I plan to use that to, number one, catapult my brand in the sport, but then build bigger businesses in the sport and grow the sport. I think one of my biggest goals is growing the sport. I'd say people imagine, or not imagine, there's situations where there's like someone who makes it to the Olympics, and then they ask, what now? I feel like for me, I'm going to make it to the Olympics, and I'm going to be like, all right, step 2 on the list is checked off.
Now
on to the next big things. And that big thing is growing the sport, you know? If I ask anybody watching this right now, name a famous gymnast, male gymnast, they can't say anybody. Hopefully, you say me, hopefully, Frederick first.
Frederick.
You will say after this, right?
Yes.
But, I mean, you don't say anything, say anybody before meeting me, right? And so I think that's one of my big goals to change, you know, for people to see the sport of gymnastics. And there's so much to do to change that.
So one of the reasons I ask you that question is because I understand. My understanding is that we all hear a lot about the female gymnastics teams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And my understanding is that you also want to be able to not just you want to grow it, but you also want to reach back out to people in the community, and you want to figure out a way to maybe get more people that you know that may not have had the opportunity. So you study in business. In order for you to do all of this, you study in business is going to teach you how to pull it all together.
Yeah.
I also understand that you have a logo.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
You hear people.
Yeah, you have a logo. So I'm going to let you tell a little bit about the logo, but also about when you're doing business, right? You have a logo, you have a brand that you're establishing. You want to be able to tell people, not just have people tell you what to do, but understand how to do it for yourself.
Exactly,
so that is really good.
That's what
I love to see when young people, they have a sport, but they have something to fall back on. And what Frederick is doing here, I'm going to let him tell you a little bit more about Frederick Flips.
Frederick Flips, yeah.
And how to find out more about what it is that he's doing. But he's setting it up for himself. So he's not just a gymnast. And he's like, okay, that's it for me. He's setting up his future. And he's also setting it up to give back. For those young kids that are out there, so if there's any young kids that are out there that dreams of becoming a gymnast or an Olympian, or he's helping to pave that path. And I think with the money or the funds that he's going to make from Frederick Flips, he'll be able to use that money and give back. And 100%. With his business degree, he'll be able to teach and know how to do that.
Exactly.
So tell me a little bit about Frederick Flips and how that got started.
Yeah. So Frederick Flips, I mean, it's not just a logo on a shirt. It's a brand that we're building, a culture. And the point is, of course, the point's to grow the whole sport. But okay, I'll start about how it started. You know, this might be a longer story.
That's okay.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, I was into content, I just love doing crazy flips, right? And I started making social media videos, and after a while, they started going viral, you know? That hundreds of thousands, millions of people started seeing my videos and being really interested in it. And so I had this name, Frederick Flips, on social media, and that was the start to it after reaching millions of people. And I realized, okay, I want to build something bigger. I want to start representing something. And so I built Frederick Flips. Right now, it's starting as just merch. But the way I see it in the future is Frederick Flips will be a brand that's hosting events that's getting people into the sport, gymnastics, that is having crazy fun competitions that I loved to do when I was younger, and
Making it affordable.
making it affordable.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to come from a lot of the events that will really be for fun, but in the gymnastics area, you know what I mean? And bringing a lot of new people. So next month, we're actually hosting a big event for Frederick Flips. This is the launch of the brand, honestly, because this is very new. I'm 19 years old now. And so
Must have just had a birthday. Go
yeah,
ahead.
I just had a birthday. Kind of getting into business things now, and so the event is the launch of the clothing brand, which is the first step. I mean, I want to build new clothing for kids to wear in the gym and kind of represent something. I feel like there's not really much gymnastics shirts that I've had a big connection to, and so I feel like it just represents push limits. And so there's the flipping man pushing the limits, but so. Sorry, I got lost with all this.
That's
thoughts,
okay.
yeah.
Well,
Okay.
yeah. Go ahead.
So we have an event planned for next month. We plan to bring a lot of kids from schools. This event's free, of course. Bring kids from schools, bring kids from gyms, bring everybody and really have a good time. I'm going to put on a show with the flips, have challenges for kids to try, ways for people to start getting into the sport. And that's just one of the areas where it'll grow. I'll even have gyms bring in free equipment for kids to try different things on. And in the future, I see the same, everybody loves consuming content nowadays. I see Frederick Flips as a brand, that content source from the gymnastics world that's reaching millions of people across the world. And they're seeing it, being interested, getting inspired. And then I see Frederick Flips also being gyms across the country where people go to try these things. Much more affordable.
So the gyms would be called Frederick Flips. Is that what your
The whole-
8-year-old? Is it that what your 19-year-old self is envisioning? I like it. I like
I
it.
see so many things, but the brand
Frederick
as a
Flip
whole.
gyms.
Yeah, the brand as a whole, Frederick Flips. There'll be gyms, there's merch, there's big events, there's just really everything. You know, it's hitting the whole world, and people are really getting introduced to this amazing sport that I fell in love with. So, yeah.
Well, what I'm hearing there is you want to be able to create this opportunity. And you're not only just talking about creating the opportunity, but I'm hearing that you're also talking about opening it up to people who may not be able to afford it. You talk about this event that's happening. Is that something that you could just give us dates and times that we can maybe put that out there so people can know about it and where it's going to be happening?
100%, yeah. So this event will be in Stoughton. It'll be on June 24th. And right now we have it'll be in one of two places, either Stoughton High School, which is the main goal to get it held in, or one of the parks in Stoughton, which is the Cap Park, what we refer to it. I forget the real name of it, but Halloran Park.
Halloran, okay.
Yeah. So it'll be hosted there, and like I said, it's going to be a really fun event. I'm going to bring everybody that has been in my life to get me to this point. They will be there. I'm going to bring all the little kids from different schools to experience this event. And honestly, I'm just going to put on a really good show. That's the plan. It's going to be fun.
Are you doing this by yourself, or are there going to be others with you doing this?
So I'm going to get my gym friends, to come in and do this. But it will be kind of more of a big event / successes party for where I've come. So I'm just excited to enjoy it with everybody in the community. So, yeah.
I love it. I love it because not only is he, but he's also encouraging other young people to come out and give back into the community, right? So I love that. Frederick, I just want to thank you for taking this time with us. And I just, I'm so proud of where you've come from. Since I've known you, you have been very focused. And I'll just tell the story. I won't say who, but I remember there was somebody in your life that they had done a project and you were like, I know you could do better than that.
I do.
Don't say who it is. We're not putting anybody out there.
Yeah.
But you, even from young, you were always extremely focused.
Yeah.
And what I see in you for you is that I see that you're working on building your dreams, and you're going to transform lives.
That's the plan.
Right.
Yeah.
And so stay humble.
Okay.
And I see that in you. You know what I mean? Yeah. I just want you to remember that. Always reach back. Because the difference that you're going to make to other children, it's going to be phenomenal. And the fact that you're 19 years old and you're already thinking about giving back, most 19-year-olds are thinking about what car they can get, what, all these, like you said, merch.
Yeah.
He said that before. When you said that before, I was like, oh, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But most young people are thinking about those things.
That's true. Yeah.
And so I applaud you that you're not just thinking about what you can get out of this for you, but you're also thinking about what you can do to give back to the sport, to build a sport so that it could become as big as women's gymnastics, right?
Much bigger.
And I think there's an opportunity for it. I think there's an opportunity. When you look at Frederick, you see this beautiful brown face. There's a lot of brown people out there that I would love to see them have the opportunity. You'll be like that role model that says, I can do it, right?
Exactly, yeah. And I think everybody in their lifetime said, I want to learn to flip at one point, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I hope that so many more people will be able to because of me. So, yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I thank you. I thank you for taking this time, doing this interview. Before we wrap everything up, is there anything else that you just want the world to know about who you are? Is there any thank yous that you want to send out or any of that stuff?
We'll start with thank yous. I mean, I definitely have to give thanks to all my teammates. I think when you're taking a journey like this, the support system you have day to day really can make or break you. And I think it's really built me up in college, at University of Michigan, and in all of my younger gyms throughout my life. So thank you to those people. And for any of the kids watching this that are younger, have a passion, I'd say trust the process and don't be afraid to be different. I grew up doing gymnastics.
Yeah.
It's really not a sport that you flaunt around like it's the coolest thing possible, even though it really is. It feels like it.
I think it is.
Yeah. But when everybody else is doing football, basketball, and all these other sports, number one, I'm sacrificing way more time in the gym 4 hours a day. But also, I mean, they think it's a girl sport, and I've had to build a brand to really show how much more of a sport
A lot
this
of
really
strength, upper body strength.
Yeah.
Everything,
Exactly,
right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. Good.
Yeah, all I was saying is don't be afraid to be different and trust the process. And I think there's so many areas to succeed in life. So, I mean, just basically follow your dreams. It'll play out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to find out more about Frederick Flips.
Frederick Flips, yeah.
So are you on TikTok?
I'm on TikTok. You can
And
join.
so what's TikTok? How do they reach you on TikTok?
Frederick Flips on every platform.
Okay.
TikTok, Instagram, we keep it consistent. And
Uh-huh.
you'll see some very entertaining stuff, number one. I like to do some crazy stuff, but I think, check it out and it'll speak for itself. I think you'll want to hop in the gym and
So
learn to
some of
flip
the
yourself.
warnings is be safe.
Be safe. And I don't know if I'm always, don't do what I do because I'm a trained professional.
He's a trained professional, right?
You be safe for sure.
Yes, but take the opportunity. Thank you so much for taking this time and doing this interview. Getting an opportunity. I am very proud of Frederick, not just because I know him, but and I know his family. I feel privileged to have known him since he was a kid growing up. But and that gives me insight into who he is as a young man, and he's very humble. Who you see is who you get, as far as the individual. And he's right here in Stoughton.
Stoughton, yeah.
Right here in Stoughton. So I just wanted to do this interview to let people know that we have some really great talent here in our area in the South Shore, and you're going to be hearing more things from him. As I said. I see this young man next year. You're gonna be. Are you already in, or are you?
So I'm ranked. I'm probably number one in the country right now in gymnastics. So they'll be taking 5 people to the Olympics. As long as I stay healthy, I have a very strong. Basically, and as long as I stay healthy. But the test will be next year. The Olympic trials will see me perform, and that will really be what I'm in. And then it's 2024, the Olympics, and that's when we bring home gold medals to the U.S. for the first time in so many years for men's gymnastics. So
speak it into existence. That's what I'm saying. So, so it's not official yet.
No.
But we know it will be.
Yeah.
Right. So, what do you have? What's coming up? What else you have coming up? I mean, I know we were closing already, but just wanted to know. So you're saying that there are some things that you have to do still. So tell me a little bit more about what's coming up.
Okay. So in 2 weeks, I'll be leaving to Paris.
Ooh.
And this is because the Olympics next year will be held in Paris. Next week, I'll be training in the same area that the Olympics will be held. and this is just a training camp for about a week and a half. And it's really just training, but it's just that same environment really put you in that Olympic mindset environment and prepare you for what's to come next year. And then 2 months from now, I'll be competing in China, and this is the World University Championships, and I'm going out there, of course, to bring home medals, but to really go against the countries in Asia, China, and Japan, and those are some of the top countries in men's gymnastics. So going out there to get some more experience and fight them. So yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
And win.
and win always. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Frederick. I really appreciate you taking the time and sitting here and having a conversation with us. Again, follow him on Frederick Flips on all the platforms.
Yep.
And just like his page, send him some shout outs and stuff like that that's out there. We want to show him that we're proud of him. And you're going to see great things. Just keep an eye out. And I'm saying it here today again, gold.
Gold.
I previously did an interview with a young man, Frederick Richard. And Frederick is a gymnast that I already told you is going to be bringing home gold. Well, I bring today his parents because I understood Anne-Marie and has been a friend of mine since 20-something years now. And her husband, Carl. And so I've known them that long. And I've seen and I've heard the sacrifices and the different things that they had to do. Frederick is doing a great job. Like I said, he's going to be bringing home gold. However, this cannot be done without his parents. And I just wanted to bring them and just talk to them about the experience and just to say thank you to them, because sometimes we have kids that are talented. However, the parents may not have the time or the money. They made it happen. So Anne-Marie, I'd love for you to tell me a little bit about who you are, and then when you're done, Carl, I'd like for you to tell me about who you are, what it is that you do, and then we can go into the interview a little bit more.
Sure. So I am Anne-Marie Richard. I am a patient engagement lead at Pfizer. I live in Stoughton. I have 3 beautiful kids, including Frederick. Frederick is actually the baby.
Yes.
I have a 26-year-old boy, Carlton, 20-year-old girl, Alexandra, and then Frederick, who's 19. And my husband and I, as I said, our family live right here in Stoughton. We've been here for,
Since 2004.
about 2000, from 2004. So quite a while. The kids went to elementary school, middle school, high school in Stoughton. So we've been here for quite a while.
Carl, you want to tell us a little bit about
Yes,
you?
my name is Carl Richard, married to Anne-Marie Richard. I'm a licensed builder.
And he built you can't see the house, but he built a mansion.
That's what I've been doing for the past 27 years plus, and I've been very successful at it. And that's also what gives me the opportunities to travel with Fred and be there when he needs us the most.
Has that flexibility, which is good. So Anne-Marie, I also know that Frederick, when we spoke, he talked about giving back to the community and stuff like that. And I know partly is because of the people around him. I know you have an organization that you're involved in. You want to tell us a little bit about that organization? We're going to get to Frederick, but I just wanted people to get to know who you are. Tell me a little bit about that organization.
Yes, so it's the Dominican Health and Education Initiative. Mm-hmm. This organization was founded in 2013. So we're actually celebrating our 10th anniversary this year. Mm-hmm. And the mission of the organization is to really help build capacity in both the health and education sectors in the Commonwealth of Dominica, which is where I'm from. Tiny island in the Caribbean, 79,000 people, but just very insufficient in terms of health and education. So we're trying to, raise funds and try to build capacity on the island.
And I know you're involved in a lot of other things. So I understand where Frederick get his desire to be able to give back from his parents. So when you first started when Frederick started flipping around the house and stuff like that, and you guys had those pictures. Tell me a little bit about that experience and what your thought patterns were when you see him. Just tell me a little bit about that.
scary. That's the word that comes to mind. Yeah, so Frederick, started, I think, so Alexandra started before Frederick, and she started at about 3. So by the time Frederick was going to the gym, he was probably 2.5. And, Lexi was very shy, wanted me on the floor with her. She would be pulling on my dress. When I take her to gymnastics, Frederick would get there and let go of my hand and run on the floor and start flipping. And, Coach Tom, who I know you guys talked about, would, just say, let him do his thing. And he would go and start flipping. And, so even before he was officially in the gym, registered as a student, he was doing his thing on the floor. And he did it in his crib. He flipped out of his crib to the point where my husband had to put rails around the crib. So he started doing this very early, and it was absolutely scary. We have pictures of it, not pictures that I took because I was too busy yelling and screaming at him that he was going to kill himself, but pictures that people brought to me after the fact. And these are sort of the poster pictures that will probably go up, when he gets to the Olympics.
Definitely. Carl, some of your experience with your son, seeing him doing all these crazy... I know men see things a little bit differently, right? But how did you feel about that?
Well, first, when I saw him flipping, I thought he's just a regular kid, basically. It never scared me. And before, I think when he first got started in gymnastics, he would come home and put pillows all over the sofa and start flipping off the sofa.
Oh my God.
And I would watch and laugh, and then she gets on, and I'm like, don't worry, nothing's going to happen to him. And I've actually observed this kid measuring his foot off the wall before he can figure out how to run onto the wall to flip off the wall.
Oh. So he knew that he had...
What he did, he lay down on his back.
Uh-huh.
Pillows all over the place. And then while he's on his back, he's measuring steps to figure how far up he's going to end up running before he can flip off the wall. And then I had actually sat there and watched him do it.
Oh my gosh.
So
what's interesting is one of the things, I have a program that I'm going to be starting in September called Coming of Age, and it's talking about kids. What you need to learn is what they like to do. And when you find out what it is that they like to do, you encourage that. Because what they like to do is what they will become. And if you encourage that, they can go very far. So it sounded like Frederick found out early in life what he liked to do. And he had both of you there to encourage him. I know, there were times when you and I speak and you were like, I don't know how he's going to get there, or, some other competition. But it always seemed to work out. Somebody, a mother, another, a coach or somebody was there to help. Tell me some of the hard, was there ever a time where you're like, I can't do this anymore? Was there ever a time, or did you just know that you had to make it happen because of how determined he was? Was there ever a time that you wanted to just, be done with it?
No, I don't think there was ever a time that I wanted to be done with it, because Frederick would not allow us to let it be done. Right? I mean, during the summer, we would go on the beach and Alexandra would say, Mommy, can you please call Coach Melinda and tell her I can't come today? And Frederick says, no, we have to go. I have practice. And we had to leave.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't allow it to happen. But also, you saw the passion and the joy that he got from going to practice. So it never crossed my mind to stop it. There were times we threatened to, if he was on punishment, we'd say, you're not going to gymnastics today, and he would be in tears. He could not miss a day of practice.
I remember that. Yeah, remember those those conversations. What about you? Would you ever? I was going to call you Frederick. Sorry.
that's my middle name anyway.
There you go. What about you, Carl? Was there ever a time where you're like, Anne-Marie, enough is enough? We don't have the money to be spending all of this on was there ever a time?
No, I never had that doubt. When I work hard, so I always believe if you work extra, you can always get that extra money you're looking for.
Right.
And I've been a big believer of that. It's just a matter of getting an extra job to make sure that we were able to pay the bills when the time is up. That's all.
Well, I only pointed that out because I know as parents, you guys are willing to do the extra to invest in your children, right? So I'm asking that question, whatever it takes. I know you guys are willing to do that. So I already knew the answer was going to be there was never a time. However, I just wanted you to point it out. So I know Frederick now is talking about giving back to the community. He's talking about Frederick Flips. Tell me a little bit. He started talking about how he wanted to give back and why he wants to give back. What is the conversations you guys are having with him around that? And who brought that up? Was that something that you guys suggested, or was that something that he said, I want to do this, and why?
Yeah, I think, of course, like you mentioned, I have always been sort of in the nonprofit business. I do a lot of mentoring of young kids, bringing them into STEM. So it's something that I myself is passionate about. So I think Frederick, throughout his life has probably seen me and heard me talk about giving back and mentoring and bringing others along with me. So I think it was in his mind anyway, because he sees, the role models. But in terms of gymnastics, it was his idea, But as I said, probably influenced by what he's seen in growing up, which I was really, really excited and pleased with, because as I said, it's something that I'm passionate about. And we know, I think it's increasing, but there have been so few, colored children in gymnastics. And so for me, Frederick really being a role model to other young children of color and letting them see that, there's a possibility, right? There might be struggles financially with their parents, but just knowing from a capability perspective that, there's other Black kids in gymnastics that I can follow, and they've gone to that level, and so I can get there too. Without thinking of, whether their parents can afford it or not. It's just whether I as a person can get there, I think is really important. And so I'm really excited that he's thinking about it and he's passionate about it. And I think it will have a major impact on the sport and on young children. So,
well, one of the things that I love is that he recognized that, in talking to him off camera, he recognized that, and that's one of the reasons he said he wanted to be able to have the Frederick Flips brand and to be able to help make the money and be able to give that money, the merch, and I'm saying his word, the merch, the young people's word, and all of that stuff that he'll be able to do. In that conversation, he wasn't just talking about what he can do for him or what he can do for his family. As a matter of fact, he didn't even talk about what he could do for the family. All he talked about
what he can do for others.
All he talked about, if you look back at that interview, is how he can give back to the community. And I'm really happy about that, because it shows that he recognized the cost, and he want to be able to give back for anyone that's out there that would love to be a part of the sports, but maybe financially they can't afford. What I would say is that I don't know what your circumstance was, but I know when my daughter was in gymnastics, again, it wasn't for financial reasons. It was just that Jasmine did not. Oh, it's just that my daughter, Jasmine, did not want to go. But he pulled me to the side, and he was like, if it's a money thing, still have her come, right? So there are people out there, and that will, if your child is passionate enough, let them still come, because there are people out there who will believe in them, and Frederick will be one of those people. Hopefully that can touch your child and maybe help your child, or somebody that right? So,
and I think one of the things too, Frederick, and I think that's what's unique too about Frederick. He's thinking about it, that he would like to do that, but he's also thinking of, how do I get there, right? So he's thinking of the business strategy too, of how do I make money to be able to make this possible for others, which is great. And of course, as I said, with the influences in his life, his father is a businessman, so he's learned a lot from him. He's actually done business with his father, so I think he also has that business mentality, and he's letting that work for him and say, okay, how do I make it possible for other kids? What sort of strategies do I need to implement? What sort of business do I need to do? Which is good.
Well, that's one of the things that I see with Carl with his kids, is that you push them. You know,
Right, so-
all of them. You're like giving them that opportunity, and I'm just putting it out there. I remember you told me, I don't know if you want to say which one, but one of your kids while they were at school, I remember you bought a multifamily for them to run. You know what I mean? Giving an opportunity to be able to fail or make it work. So you pour it into them and teaching them that. I also know that Frederick was doing some kind of investment or something like that, and he also started a business. So he's been trying this thing. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, Fred is very, very smart when it comes to business. The only thing I think sometimes he's moving too fast, but
I get that.
that would come with age. Even when we started the Frederick Flips, how that came about, he had it on TikTok, Frederick Flips, and then one day I saw a picture that he took where he was flipping on the sand, and I looked at it. I said, "Dude, you can turn this into something."
Is that the logo?
That's how the logo came about.
Oh, okay.
Actually, Frederick Flip.
Flips. Okay, that was the logo.
So
Okay.
the logo was a flip that he was doing, and I looked at it. I said, "Wait a minute, we can turn this into something," and he understood it
Right away.
right away. And then we contact one of my cousins who does Christopher,
Graphic design.
and we started with him, and then we get a professional to perfection to the way we wanted it, and now it's a full blowing brand that's ready to be launched, and
Good.
I think we'll do well. And I also always advise him the whole idea of this having this brand is to create a situation when we make money to give opportunities to the unfortunate kids that can't do gymnastics because their parents could not afford it.
Right.
Because I've seen that a lot. And traveling with him, and it's not.
You see
it's
kids
not-
that were there. You see them good, but they don't show up at
They
the.
can't. That's the thing, you know what I mean? And Tom has been a very, very good coach where he's helped out many, many kids. And if you go through the history of gymnastics, you'll find a lot of kids that are so good, I end up being adopted sometimes to continue the sport because their parents didn't have.
Oh wow. Okay.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of histories on that with the girls, boys too.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, it's an expensive sport. So the idea is what can we do to get more of our own kind into the sports?
Okay.
Because they do have the talents. They just don't have anybody to.
The finances.
The financing
yeah.
is the key.
I agree with that because when you started telling me about, it's now going to cost this much more, because I remember when we first started with the kids, it was costing this much a month, and you were like, Frederick now has to do what was it 3 or 4 days a week now, and it was like this much more. I'm like, whoo, that was a lot.
Yeah, and that's the
know?
the least expense of the cost.
Yeah.
The traveling can really get you there.
Yes.
And the highest level he's at, the more you travel. And I'm a strong believer of not having my kids travel and I'm not there.
I was going to ask you about that because I know in talking to Anne Marie, you said there's a lot of times where you guys are the only parents that
I
are
don't
showing up.
I have
Yeah.
to be there. It's a must.
And there are times when I would say, "Oh my God, that's expensive. We can't travel to all these places, you know." And Carl would say, "No, we have to be there to support him, and we'll find a way and make it work."
Right.
Yeah, that's what
So-
it comes down to.
That's it. Making that sacrifice for your kids. Again, I go back to you, Carl. Even with Alexandra, you allowing her, you had a business, and you're having her run the
She
business
was
for
running
you.
the business,
So
yeah.
always encouraging your kids and always being there for them. That's an awesome, and it shows, right? Because then they gain that confidence with you giving them the insight and saying that, hey, this could be a business. His mind was already thinking, right? Because he was already invested.
Yeah.
What was the other business he was trying to do?
Selling LED lights.
with partners, right? Yeah. So
And it's something that happened during COVID, being home, you had more free time,
Right.
he does his classes for a period of time and then he's home. So he started multitasking and
but he could have been like the other kids just playing games.
Exactly,
Right? And he was
exactly.
using his time effectively. So I know you guys must be proud. So now that he's in college, why did he decide on this college? And what made you? What are you guys? Did you guys help him make that decision, or was that something that he did because of gymnastics?
Yeah, well, thankfully, Frederick, as I said, has had a lot of mentors in his life. And so, in the beginning, we didn't know anything about, the the schools. We had to do some of our research and see which were the best schools academically and, from a sports perspective. But we also had a lot of mentors like Tom, his original coach, who, really helped guide us in that sense. He knew all of the coaches at the different colleges, so he really knew which one was best for Frederick with the way he works out, and sort of he needed a technician who could really help him
Get to the next level.
perfect his skills and get to that next level. And so again, fortunately we have good mentors
Nice.
in our lives that can guide Frederick and guide us, and so I think it was the best decision for him, and he's thriving
He's
there, as
thriving
you can
there.
see. So
Yeah. It's important that we give back to the community. I said it's always good to reach back and see if you see something, say something. Not to pat myself in the back or anything like that, but I saw what he could do, and I was like, Anne-Marie, you need to get this boy into a gymnastic school. And I've done that with other kids, you know what I mean, that I haven't followed up with. If I see them flipping or doing something, or if I see them, and that's what we need to do as a community. We need to be able to reach back and just, if we can. I'm not saying go out of your way if you can't, but if you're in a position that you can, give back. Because these young people, it's amazing what they can do if they are encouraged. And as you see, Anne-Marie and Carl, they were there for their kids. But even on their own, they're saying that they couldn't have done it. So the people that were surrounding their child and surrounding them is what helped to propel them. They were there as the foundation, but they had people around them to help them to know what to do and to make it happen. So as a community, we need to do more of that. So now that he's in school, I know he said he's studying business and everything like that. So Carl, you are not going to be able to give him advice anymore because he's getting the degree. He's going to be able to give you business advice.
I understand, that's fine. But there's an old saying, studying is one thing,
Studying
executing is another.
So he'll be coming to you for still
Exactly.
advice on that, right? And you're like, I got the studyation.
Yes.
You got the education, I got the
But I'm open for the new ideas, that's important too.
That's
That's the only way to
important.
make the business grow.
All right.
That's the-
and the young generation has novel,
Yeah.
innovative ideas that the old folks don't think of. So
That's right. You
I think
put the
it's-
two
it's
together
a
and
two-way
make it work.
street. Yeah.
So he's going to, and I'm not saying he's going to qualify. He is going next year to the Olympics. Let me ask, are you guys going?
Most definitely.
Absolutely.
I know the answer, but I just had to ask.
If I could drive back and forth to Millis,
Uh-huh.
I can go to the Olympics. And this is something we didn't mention. During COVID, it was tough. I mean, Frederick he moved when his coach retired to a gym in Millis with,
So this is Coach Tom, when Coach Tom retired.
Coach Tom
Okay.
retired, and so he moved to Massachusetts Elite Gymnastics Academy in Millis, Mass. And that's about 45 minutes from here. And so, Frederick hadn't gotten his license yet, so I
was too
had to,
young.
we had to drive him back and forth to Millis every day. And during COVID, it was really tough because, parents were not allowed into the gym. And so I would drop Frederick off to practice and sit in the car for 4 hours waiting.
Whoa.
I would work until my computer died, and then I would go shopping and just kill time until it was time. And he went for 4 hours.
This is the dedication I wanted to talk about.
I
So
sat
good.
in my car
Yes.
for 4 hours and waited, did whatever I had to do, and then came back home because with the traffic, it was really tough driving over there,
Didn't
driving
make
back.
sense. Yeah.
Within an hour, I have to go back again to pick him
Yeah.
up.
So 2 hours, you get a break, but then you got to go right back.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. So I just stayed out there, worked in my car. But it pays off, Look where he is now. So
Definitely. I see him doing wonderful and great things, not just through gymnastics, but I think what gymnastics is going to allow him to do, and the doors that he's going to help to open because he has that mindset already. So I can already see that for him.
absolutely.
So when he brings home the gold, where are you going to put it? Do you have an answer already?
Carl is supposed to be building.
Because, like I said, when he brings home the
It
gold.
would be next July.
Yes.
July 2024.
So July of 2024. So you have time. You have time to build that. I definitely know I'm going to try to be there. Not try, I will be there,
Great.
making sure I get my ticket early so I can be there for.
You have to be.
I have to be there.
And then I have to thank you too, because you were the one who introduced us to gymnastics, if you recall.
I know.
You know, Jasmine was in there, and you said, Jasmine is in there. I think Lexi might like this. We put Lexi in, and then Frederick followed,
yeah.
and look where he is now.
There you
Lexi
go.
and Jasmine both, got out, and
Didn't want anything to do with it anymore, but he stayed. Yeah, I definitely saw that because, like I said, Frederick scared my husband and I. I remember you would leave him, we were babysitting or to help, and Frederick would, on the banister, like that skinny banister, and he would be, I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this child doing? I'm like, he needs an outlet, and gymnastic is it. So I'm happy that, and it just so happened that you live right down the street.
Yeah.
From his first gym, you know what I mean? So it worked out so well. And as he said, even if he couldn't get a ride, he was going to walk there. So it made it possible. Anything else you wanted to let us know? I actually just want, if you can go in, you talked about the 4 hours and the drive there and everything like that. And I'm not just, I don't want it to be like you're complaining or anything, but I just want it to be more to get people to understand the level of commitment that you guys had. Is there anything else you wanted to express or talk around that?
I mean, what I would say is, to parents, is that when you have a child who has that level of passion, you see their interest, you see their talent, that you do whatever it takes to support them. It was tough, but look where it brought him, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes we have to make those sacrifices for our kids. I mean, between Carl and I, it was up and down, drop off, pick up,
Exactly.
continuously until he was of age to walk up the street. I mean, it got to a point where he was walking to gymnastics so he could ride his bike.
Well, driving to Millis was the.
And then he moved gyms, and we had to drive him to Millis because he didn't have his license yet until he got his license and son. And then there were people, as you said, it takes a village. When he went to Millis, there were days I couldn't take the time off to go because he went at 5. I'm coming from Cambridge. There were times I couldn't make it on time, and so we had families that he carpooled with. And there was one particular family who lived in Milton,
Yes, man.
the Cormiers, Matt Cormier, and he carpooled with Matt for quite a while. So if I couldn't make it, he had friends that he could carpool with. There were families who helped. So, it definitely takes a village, and so, it's a community thing. We help each other. So for the parents who, have those struggles, they don't have as flexible a schedule, find
You have to
a
work
find a
together.
friend or a family who you can, maybe they drop off, you pick up, that sort of thing, which I did in some cases. And we make it work for our children, We do whatever we have to do.
Definitely. You talked about Coach Tom and how dedicated he was and how great he was with Frederick. But Coach Tom retired. So tell me about his coaches going forward.
So Coach Tom, I will say, has retired, but will always be a mentor to Frederick.
Yes.
He still is. He's in Frederick's life just as
And he's at
As
the,
much as
he's
when
at the
he
family
coached.
activities.
Exactly,
Because every family
exactly.
activity he's there.
he's always been there. And Frederick is done competing, and he'll be on the phone with him and telling him what he did wrong. So he will always be there. But Frederick has been fortunate that he's past Tom, he's also had great coaches. So Levon Caracanias, I hope I'm saying his last name correctly, who's the owner of the Mega Gym, Massachusetts
He
Elite
was an
Gymnastics.
I think he was an ex-Olympian too. He used to compete in. Is it Soviet Unions? I think he did.
I believe so.
Yes.
And he was recommended by Tom. So Tom had a lot of
Tom is still
confidence that he could take-
influencing,
exactly. he basically said to Frederick that this was the
Future
guy
next
who
coach,
could who could really take him where he wants to go. Once he retired. So although Millis was a hike, we believed in Levon, and he also did an amazing
did
job with
amazing.
Frederick. And now he's at Michigan again. He has one of the best coaches who is really a strategist and helps him to really, get to that next level. He had all of his routines, but really taking it to the next level. So he's been fortunate that in spite of the fact that he's very talented and very driven and, he's had these great mentors or coaches in his life that has, just complemented his passion. So we've been lucky. We've been lucky for sure.
So we talked about gymnastics and how passionate he is at gymnastics. How are his grades? How is he doing in school?
Excellent question. Amazingly, he's been able to balance school and gymnastics and even a little bit of social life. He's been doing pretty well even from high school.
From high school, but he's very disciplined too. You
Very,
have to
very
understand.
disciplined.
You don't have to be afraid to do his homework.
Yeah, so he's still maintained his A's and B's, and and even now in college, he's somehow doing it. I don't know if I could do it.
Sometimes you look and you're like, I wish I had that discipline when I was a kid. I do remember you, because like I said, I made that joke about him, saying to someone, I could do better than that. And there was a big age difference between him and that person, right? I remember that. And so I'm like, wow, at this young age, he was young when he had said that. And I'm like, he was determined from the beginning.
Yeah.
I knew the grades were good. But I just wanted people to know he's not just about gymnastics. He's also about his studies. So he's going to do well. He puts his mind to something, he's going to do well.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud that I have the opportunity to know him. And I'm going to say this on camera to Carl and Anne-Marie. He was supposed to be my godson. But because I wasn't Catholic, I should have changed my religion for that month. I'm just joking.
Well, you will always be a godmother. You don't have to be on paper to be a godmother, right?
So when he wins, I could say, that's my godson.
Exactly.
Well, I thank you guys so much for taking this time. And, it's a pleasure to do this interview about a young man that I know and I've seen grown up. And I know is going to do great things beyond gymnastics. Or with gymnastics, I should say, because I could see him, like that coach, maybe doing something and giving back in, opening gyms across the nation, the country, as he said, and making a difference within the gymnastics arena and starting that business with Frederick Flips. For those of you, I hope you get to watch the interview with Frederick, but follow him on Frederick Flips. He's Frederick Flips across all the platforms.
Instagram, TikTok, YouTube.
So
all the platforms.
Follow
And
him.
the gears are on frederickflips.com, so you can always get his t-shirts also.
Oh, there you go. So the gears are already ready for purchase?
Will be by the end of the month.
So by the end of the month, if you want to have a Frederick Flip t-shirt or what do you call this? This is like
Sweatshirt.
A sweatshirt. This is a nice sweatshirt.
Thank you.
It's not bulky and
No, it's
everything.
quality though.
It's quality. These quality sweatshirts and quality
And
t-shirts.
affordable.
And affordable t-shirts. You can go to frederickflips.com and check it out. And if you have a child out there who is interested in becoming a gymnast, just encourage them. I don't know, at this point, they're not in a position to say, financially hand out any scholarships, but stay in touch with Frederick. Make your comments online, because there are other people who will be hearing this video, not just hearing this video, but we'll be following as well. And maybe there's somebody in there that if you make a comment, we'll be able to reach out and help. So stay in touch. Thank you guys so much. Before we wrap this up, is there anything else that you wanted to say that I didn't touch base on?
I'll mention one thing. Look out for a Frederick Flips event coming out. It will be on the 24th of June. We'll be having a celebratory event for Frederick at one of the fields here in Stoughton, maybe the high school field. But look out for it. We'll do some marketing before, celebrating his successes, but also it's sort of the launch of the Frederick brand, which I said will happen at the end of June. So look out for that and join us. We would love to have everybody join us. Hopefully all of the kids from the schools in Stoughton and Randolph and surrounding towns, from the gyms in the local areas, etc.
Wow, what a great interview. I really enjoyed sitting and talking to Frederick. He is such a humble young man, and I can't wait to see what he is going to do. He is a part of the South Shore, which is where we are, but he is going to make such an impact. It is an opportunity for you to see him before he explode. So I'm telling you, please go and like his pages. Please follow him on Frederick Flips, because I know he's going to do well. And for all the other young people out there that I've encouraged or inspired, I just would like for you to reach back and let me know what you're doing, because it feels great when you pour into someone and you see them making a difference and following their dreams. Thank you and have a good day.